Welcome back, everyone. Today we are interviewing Charlese Latham for our Creative Side Businesses for Women Summit. So, welcome, Charlese.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I am really excited to be here today.
I'm excited to hear from you, and I absolutely adore your name. I just love Charlese. I think it's very original. I've never met another one before. And your business is called Girl at the Yellow Desk, and I just love your story. So I'll tell the audience here a little bit about you in case they don't know who you are. So you have been an entrepreneur in the beauty industry for about 20 years. And Charlese built a hairstyle clientele more than once, opened and ran her own salon for 7 years. You educated companies in the hair industry and you spoke on stages to other salons and luxury retailers. But then, December of 2018, everything changed. You had an emergency back surgery and you had to retire from your hair business. You sold your home, moved in with family to properly get recovered, right? So, in trying to find yourself, you realize that you can still be yourself. And you are the type of person who are a really good friend and who has the ability to listen to other women and make them feel confident and beautiful. But the difference this time around was that you wanted to use your business experience. So you became a virtual assistant. And your best strengths are copywriting and content creation for launches. And your favorite thing to do is supporting female coaches by taking away the overwhelm during busy seasons. So you started this back in summer 2019. You've been published in entrepreneur.com, featured in Self Magazine, interviewed on dozens of podcasts, spoken on 7+ summits, so this would be maybe number 8. And you've worked with multiple 6 and 7 figures, and now you're even selling your first course, and it's called Having Your Best Launch. Is that what it's called?
It's called Plan Your Best Launch Ever because what it's about is getting started with the planning process so that the launch goes easier.
Gotcha. Okay. And so today you're going to be talking to us about 4 steps to copy that sells. And before I even dive into that, I'm sure you're asked this all the time, but what is with the girl at the yellow desk? Where did that come from?
Well, since I'm a creative person, as we established with my hair world and always been into like art, clothes, all that, when I was coming up for a name for something like, I was like, oh, I've never had like a desk job, but it has to be like cool. It has to be, anyway. I thought of things that would be memorable, and I realized that colors are memorable, visual pictures are memorable. That's one thing that we'll talk about in copy is creating like a story that a person can see and imagine.
Yeah.
So I'm not easily forgettable. Plus, when I was living at my parents' house, that was my lowest. I had never moved back home again, and I was 38 at the time. So I was like, this is a shock for me.
Mhm.
And my dream every day, I was like, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to move out and I'm going to create a nice office space. I have it all designed in my head, but
Yeah.
I'm going to order a custom yellow desk. And that was like my dream. So I became the girl at the yellow desk because I don't actually have a yellow desk now, but it's like my dream goal of that. Well, okay, so I have moved out of my parents. I do live in Orange County, California, and I fell in love with a desk that is teak and white instead of yellow. But it's in my bedroom. I'm still like working up to the full buying my own house and having a private office. So when that day happens, we will have a full behind the scenes launch of the yellow desk.
Oh, what a beautiful story. And there's this massage therapy place in town, and they have this building is bright yellow, and they are known as the yellow house or the yellow building or something like that. And so whenever I have to make an appointment, I don't remember the name of the business. I type in yellow massage and there it comes up. So
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. The colors are very, very important. So now I know the backstory because I was wanting to ask that forever. And having such a tragic thing happen to you, that must have been just awful to go through. But it did force you to make a huge switch in life and do what you were truly called to do. And life is just amazing how it leads us down these different paths. So
Mhm.
okay, so that's cool. So today you're talking about copy. I'm hoping that we can start with the basics first. So why don't you tell everyone what copy is? Because I guarantee there's people here who are like, copy? What the heck are we even talking about right now? So let's start with the basics and then we'll get into the bigger questions.
Love it. You know what? It's important to define copy because so as you mentioned, I started out as a virtual assistant and now I actually only market myself as a copywriter and launch specialist because writing is what I like to do. So copy is a word, I think it originated in journalism because they had to make copies of the newspapers. Anyway, the writing of anything that goes onto your business that's used for your business, we call that copy. So that would be all the words on your website, especially your emails, your sales pages, social media posts. All of those are called copy. And a lot of people ask, what's the difference between copy and content creation? Because that's another word that gets thrown out there when it comes to writing. And content creation, in my opinion, and everyone has their own opinion of like the difference, often means the bigger picture behind everything. So when you're creating content, let's say, usually we think of like social media. We think of the post, the picture of the post, the video is supposed to look like, and then the words. Whereas copy usually strictly refers to the writing.
Okay. And obviously both are equally important, but okay. And so what makes good or copy good? What makes copy good?
Oh my gosh, I get asked that question all the time because people do like to write their own copy, and you should learn how to write at least your own basic copy. However, what can make it better than just, I don't know, a simple, I guess how I would word it is, there's a 6 things that I found that make it more consumable and that people like are excited to read and they finish reading the whole page. That would be like the number one goal, is that someone starts reading that first line and they want to read the entire website, social media post, email, etc.
Yes.
So the 6 things, I'll get right into them. Sure. Number 1 is a story. People love to hear a story. You asked my story, you told my life story, and we also talked about the story behind my name. People want to know the story. Stories stick with people. That's why we're kind of addicted to binge watching TV shows. We want to see the whole story. Even if it's like, have you ever watched a show? I recently watched one, I'm not going to name it. It's a dumb sitcom. It's kind of recent. And I was like, oh, I've never seen this show. And the first like 2 seasons I was bored. And the 3rd season, I'm like, why am I still watching this? Well, I needed to know what happened between the 2 people that were like friends and if they were going to end up like making up because they got in a fight. I didn't care about the show. I cared about the story. And so we want to make sure that even if it's a small 1-line story, we tell a story. A small 1-line story would be like, I was just talking about my dog earlier today. Today, my dog wanted to eat peanut butter. So like a small 1-line story was like, before I woke up to write this awesome post, I had to go serve my dog her favorite crunchy peanut butter. And that's just a little story. And then you're like, oh, her dog eats peanut butter too, or crunchy peanut butter. That gets you thinking about me and my dog. And so the next time I post a picture of my dog on social media, you'll be like, oh, crunchy peanut butter dog. Like simple as that. So that's number 1.
Okay.
But that's in line with number 2, which is hitting people in the feels, which again, it's all kind of connected. Stories make us feel. They can make us feel bad. So we want to not do something that makes people feel bad, but something that makes them feel. And it doesn't have to be feely. It doesn't have to make them cry. We don't have to hit them in the gut with something, you know, harsh or sad or something like that. But it just has to give them some kind of emotion that makes them attached to you. So I recently, well, a few months ago, I posted how I actually had another puppy and he just wasn't the right fit and I had to give him up. People kept like sending me messages. People still ask, like, how's your puppy? Did you ever find out what home he went to? People care about things that they that make them feel. They felt bad for the situation. They felt bad for the puppy. They wanted to know what happened. So if we can make them feel, okay, about a puppy I don't have anymore, that's one thing, but if we can make them feel good about us or what we're selling or what services we have, or just hanging out with us, if that's your goal, just to get more people in your network, we want to get them to feel good.
Yes.
Okay. So the 3rd one is my favorite.
Okay.
It's humor. I love to laugh. Like seriously. So I hardly laughed through that show for the first 2 seasons, but eventually I started laughing and I was like, okay, I can finish this because laughing is my favorite thing. So it's really great when you can tell a story, but add a little humor. And it doesn't have to be fake humor. Some people aren't naturally like, you know, humorous, but if you can add that bit of lightness and levity to what you write, people will feel that like good, fun feeling around it. And people want to feel fun, especially nowadays.
Just to get your personality in there, right? So that they feel that they kind of get to know you, the real you, a little bit.
That's it.
Yeah, relatable. Okay, cool. What's
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And again, like, sometimes I tell people add a little humor and it does make people like deer in the headlights and they're like, oh, I'm not funny. Well, okay, I think puns are funny. And sometimes when I'm writing for clients or myself, I will actually search for a pun on a certain word. Like I have a health and wellness client and she does like recipes as part of the blogs that I write for her. And so I'm like constantly like pun for eggplant. And so because I don't want it to be like, and not safe for work, but I want it to be like funny or, whatever. And so sometimes just a silly pun will get people like, okay, I'm not gonna like actually chuckle or, the old like LOL. They're not really
Yeah.
laughing. But they like in their head, they're like, no, this person's kind of fun. They're kind of funny. So humor really hits people. That's a good feel.
Okay.
And then you mentioned relatable, but I want to say even more than relatable, resonating. So we take relatable to that next level. We want to be able to say things because we understand what they're going through. And you've all seen that copy that says like, I know you're a blank who has blank and needs blank. That can work. We can be straightforward, but what's working in the market today is just saying like, hey, this sucks. I know it sucks. It sucked for me. If it sucks for you, keep reading. Just letting them know that you understand their pain without, I don't know, playing down to them like, oh, telling them that you know more about it than they do. Just letting your audience know that you have a solution to the same problem that you had. And if that's what they're looking for, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah. You want them to say, oh yeah, that's me, And then something else that makes copy good is just, this is so simple. Make it easy to read. Sometimes we want to use big words for our industry, which makes sense because sometimes they have to be used. But if they're used too often or in the wrong place, sometimes it's like, I don't know what I'm reading. I'm bored. I'm stressed. I just wanted someone to help me with blank. And now I'm confused. Make it super simple. Make it easy on us. What do we mostly like want to watch on TikTok? Hot guys, funny stories about Johnny Depp or whatever the newest, celeb gossip is, and, dogs and dolphins and cats. Like we want simple, we want things that are easy to digest.
Yeah.
So yeah, make your content easy to digest while still informing.
Can I say something about that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in the 80s, and when we were taught in school how to write things, it was paragraph, paragraph, paragraph. That's not how we write anymore. And that took a long time for my brain to make that switch because that's like, and then I'm like, wait a minute, but I don't like to read paragraphs, right? I like one sentence paragraphs, if that's even what they're called anymore. Right? So that's important too, not to like bunch all this content, to make it flowing so that people can just scroll like this and, read it quickly, right? So
such a great point, Carrie. Yeah, that's on my list of tips later. Make sure you're using white space because how many times have you looked at like a long form and I actually find myself skipping to like the small sentences and then going back and reading paragraphs to see if I missed anything because it's bunched together and we automatically run from them. So I have a rule of thumb that we like to use is no matter what format, so make sure that you format it for mobile and for your other, computer devices or wherever you're going to be posting things. We don't want more than 3 lines.
Okay.
So more than 3 lines in a paragraph, people get like a little bit scared to read. 4 lines, they're like, Now, if you have to do like a 4-line paragraph for some reason, it's a quote or something, mixing it up with spaces, italics, bold can really help the eye move down the page because the goal is to get them from the top to the bottom. You want them to read your entire message.
And what about emojis? Are they yes or no? Okay.
Well, okay, it goes back to fun and humor. I like emojis, but again, that's use on your own discretion for your personality. So I have seen some people, and I've written for some where we have like 5 emojis after each line, and other people like don't want any emojis, and I'm like, well, you're gonna have like at least 2. Like we have to have a funny one or like an arrow at least pointing, or something to highlight, like click the link here with the finger, the yellow finger. It really does help break up the eye, and we're used to seeing emojis all over the place now. So we want color, with our TVs going whatever HD to 4K and whatever comes next after that. Our eyes want more. Our eyes can handle more, and our computers and our phone screens can handle more. So definitely add actual color with emojis.
Okay, I have another question because I have so many questions. So what about
Keep asking.
Should we be using images and GIFs and things like that?
Okay, depends on what you are writing. So if we're going to be using, let's say, let's go back to websites. Websites, we definitely want images all over the place. People want a couple lines, images, it really does help. But when it comes to emails, which is a big question for images, and I say GIF, some people say GIF. It's, to me, it's the
I
same.
don't know. I don't know what it
The
is.
reason I say GIF is because sometimes I tell people I'm sending you a GIF, and they're like, a gift? And I'm like, the gift of a GIF, um, the gift of my humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll just say GIF, but like, whatever. So I love to use them in emails, but the same with any other type of like correspondence you make with people that you're getting to know. We don't want to bombard people with repetition. We want to keep it like a little bit fun, mix it up a little, and then show a full spectrum of who we are. So I tell clients, when, like, let's say we're doing a welcome email sequence, mix it up between long form and short form emails, and then have some of them just be plain text, not even your logo, not even your signature if you have one with like your links, just like a, hey, checking in, how's it going? You can say click here to read this new article. You can do something simple, or you don't even have to. You could just do, but those are the ones that get the most replies because they look more like a friendly email, not a marketing email.
The ones with no images that are just
Plain text, no images, nothing. Mm-hmm. But if you were to send only plain text ones, then people would be like, oh, that's her marketing. So after like a plain text one, let's say you get another email from me and it's a really funny GIF, then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, she's funny too. And then the next one could be like my marketing one with like pictures of what I'm selling to you or offering you for free or whatever is in that. And other times, just putting a picture of yourself or a picture of the thing you're talking about. Like if I'm going to talk about my puppy eating peanut butter, I'm going to send you a picture of her licking the peanut butter, like, because that's cute to me. And it helps you to picture what she looks like. So I definitely say use them, but depending on what platform you're on and your purpose, use a variety of these things to show your entire personality. Because I know that even though it's good to have like a thing, like let's talk about my my roommate. She's really tall with long skinny legs, and so her mom and like sister started calling her a flamingo, which was cute. Well, now she's in her mid 40s, and she gets like flamingo crap from her family all the time. She's like, I don't even like flamingos. And it's to the point where like her little niece, I just was walking by her room, had sent her a handmade flamingo, like with a hand like a turkey, but and so she has it up on the wall, but she's like, like, I'm not a flamingo. She's not offended, it's just not her thing. But it's good sometimes for people to know like your thing, right? For me, it's yellow desk or my dog or something else. So it's good to be known for a thing, but you also want to not only send, what if she only sent flamingo things to everybody all the time, only flamingo gifs? We'd be like, get a new shtick, man. So it's okay to have something people know you for, but don't be afraid to explore other things because you're not one dimensional.
Right. Okay, that's a good tip. Did we get all your tips, or was there one more?
The last one was just what makes a copy good is that you see that it sells. So that has to do with keeping tabs on what you write, keeping tabs on the data that comes back to you, and seeing if it sells. So let's say you told a story, it got people kind of emotional, it was funny, they really loved reading it because it was simple and it resonated with them. But at the end, they're like, but anyway, well, maybe that wasn't good enough copy, and it deserves maybe a little update at the end because it didn't close the deal. So that's something to keep in mind. Is we want our copy at the end of the day still to have a purpose, because we're not writing just for the heck of it. We're here in business.
That's right. And calls to action are very important. I don't know how many you're supposed to put, if there's a rule of thumb for that, but I have learned that you can write, something fantastic, and they'll get to the end and be like, oh, that was nice, delete, but it didn't convert into anything.
Absolutely.
One of those lessons you learn in business. So calls to action are very important. Lots of links and buttons, and just taking them to continue on with the journey with you, right, is very important.
Absolutely. People need to know where to go, because when they're reading, so let's say you're their guide, you're educating them about something, or you're going to take care of something for them. Well, they want to feel like they're already in your hands. So at the end of the email, they don't want to go, well, how do I get in touch with her? How do I hire her? Does she have room for me? They really want to just be like, oh, reply to this to get started. Click here to get started.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb, I can help you with that. On
Okay.
an email post for social, one call of action, one call to action. We don't want people to have 3 options of what they can go do, because then they won't do it. What do they say? A confused buyer never buys. So we want somebody to just say, what do I do next? Okay, this is my only option. Now from there, you get them on the phone, or they get to your sales page and they have other options. If you have them, that's great. But in something where you're asking them to make a move, give them one place to go, just one. Don't say like, join me on Instagram and get in my Facebook group. And also you might want to download this freebie. They're not going to do probably any of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I've never heard that one before. So that's a good tip.
That's my tip. And then also when you're doing sales pages, I do a button after almost every single section, and the button should be bright, warm colors. Just a little side tip.
Warm colors. So what would be a warm color?
Anything in the reds, oranges, pinks. Don't do cool colors, blues, greens. Now, albeit that might be your color palette for, maybe you don't have anything yellow, orange, but you can go into like something that complements that. Only because people want to click on warm colored buttons. Now you don't have to do that bright red, what is that Staples button, the easy button. You don't have to do that. But we don't want to have our buttons just be black and white. We don't want to have them just be like forest green or pale beige. We do want them to pop, because we want people to see, okay, as soon as I finish reading these lines, I can click here. Wait, I'm going to keep going and see what's next. It really helps move the page along and helps them to see exactly what to do when they're ready to do it.
Okay, good tip. Oh, I should have been taking notes. I'm going to have to rewind this and take some notes here.
Replay.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about captions for a second. So again, let's assume people don't know what a caption is. So first tell us what a caption is, and then how do you make your captions sell?
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about captions for social media. And that's mostly what I mean by the word caption. That could be an Instagram post, a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post. That could be at the end of a TikTok, or, well, TikTok is short, but maybe a reel. Reels, a lot of people are finally realizing you have to have the copy in the reels, right? So caption is what you're saying in a short form, quick read, to get people to know about you, buy something from you, or get into your network.
Okay. So how do you get it to sell then? How do you do that?
Awesome. I have 4 steps to this.
Oh my goodness, look at you, all these tips. See, this time I am getting my pen. All right, go ahead.
Well, here's how I do it. So the first thing I do is I start at the end. So I write that CTA first. So that call to action we were talking about, we need to know what our goal is. So why am I writing this? Is it to get them to download a freebie, to join my group? What is our purpose? Is it just to get to know me? That's fine, but we want them to then follow us. There should always be some kind of call to action. And if it's just like a friendly update about life and we're just kind of nurturing them, it can also be reply here, comment below with your whatever blank to help get a conversation going. So what is your goal? Write that CTA first. It can all be adjusted, by the way. Whatever you write down, we have delete buttons, or we can scratch it out if you do it by hand with a pen, but just start with your CTA. Okay. Then I go to the next hardest part of any writing is the hook. And the hook is that first sentence that hooks people in so that they keep reading. So we want that scroll stopping line. Now, I usually write several, 3, 4, 5 of them before I find one that lands. So write them out. We want it to be intriguing, but honest. You never want to say, click here to win something free. Just kidding. But I wanted to tell you about how to write a good caption. Like, everyone's going to get, irritated. But something like the 1 tip you need to know, or 2 things I wish I would have been told, or something intriguing. It can also be funny. It can be tongue in cheek. Something that gets someone to look at the picture or look at the reel and then go, oh, I have to read what this person has to say.
Right. So
get that hook going for a little inspiration and get it started. Then we go into the body. So that's step 3. And in the body, how to make this super simple is we either write a short story, and it can be about you or a client that you helped, good or bad. Maybe it's a client who failed at something, and we don't need to name names, just a story. And then, or if you don't want to tell a story, just give your tip. So let's say you have the 4 steps to writing copy. That would be the body of this.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then the 4th step, make revisions, go back, redo it again. So make sure your revisions include the rule of one, which is you're writing to one person. Sometimes we write we, sometimes we write us, sometimes a lot of times we write I. It's okay to start a story with I, but as quickly as you can transition into you, you, and not we, you. Write to the one person, don't write you guys or let's all or hey everybody, because even if you are a YouTube influencer, you might say that on your YouTube video, but you're not going to say it in your caption.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's good. Those are some good tips. I'm gonna listen to those again so that they sink in. Awesome. So what would be the most important rule when it comes to writing? What's the best rule? Yeah.
The most important rule is you need to be confident. You know what you're saying, you know why you're saying it, and you know who you want to say it to. If you don't know those things, go back to those and have all three ready. So that way, when you say anything at all, you can be confident. That's what sells. That's what people want. They want to know that if they're going to hire you or work with you or partner up with you, that you have the ability to do it and you know how to do it, you're going to do it, and that you're exciting to be around because you're just so full of your own confidence. Obviously not in a condescending way, and we're not going to be, none of us are like that here, I'm sure, but just definitely show up and be confident because you rock and you want people to just see it.
Yes, good tip. All right, I got one last question for you. So what would be the biggest lesson that you've had to learn when creating your client's copy?
I think the biggest lesson is you don't write once. Copy needs to be edited and edited and edited, and it's not personal. I always tell this to my clients now. If I write an email sequence for you, like I do 10 email sequences sometimes for clients to, sell a launch. If you send it back and say, none of this sounds right, I'm not going to go like cry for a bit. It's okay. They're just words. If I didn't hit the right note the first time, most people don't. You don't even hit your right note the first time. We write and then we do another draft and then we do another draft. So my biggest lesson was I'm not going to write something once, send it to someone and have they say, I'm in love with you. Like I had to get used to people saying, no, let's adjust, and that it wasn't personal. And so now it really doesn't bother me if someone's like, no, it's like, okay, how can I fix this? So when you're writing your own copy or when you hire someone to do your copy, remember first drafts aren't the last draft.
Right. And I'm sure every single client you have has their own style and their own way that they want, like their own vision, and you've got to adjust for each client, right? And I think at the beginning, I would definitely take it personally because I think when you're writing it, you're like, okay, this is perfect. She's going to love this, right? And you send it off and you're expecting her to say perfect. And I can see that at the beginning, it would really it would really probably hurt quite a bit. But yeah, you just got to get a backbone and realize that it's not about you. It's just, you've got to find what their style is and make it work for them. Yeah, that's a great lesson. And I hear you've got a free gift that you're offering everybody, and you've called it 5 welcome email templates. So tell us all about that.
Okay, so for those who aren't sure what to say when they welcome a new client into their sales funnel, it's 5 email templates that you go in and they're guaranteed to get people like excited. But the reason I wanted you guys to have this, I just said you guys, but there's a group of people listening, so that's not the rule. Anyway, the reason I wanted your audience to have this and anybody listening to have it is because I think the number one thing I find that holds people from moving forward, like they'll create freebie after freebie and they'll try to get people on their email list. We all know how important an email list is. We can even write nurture emails. Some of us can tell the story. Some of us can write the tips. That's totally great. But everyone panics at okay, after I have someone set for getting that download, I don't know what to do after. And they should be getting a series of onboarding emails that let them know who you are and what you offer and really get to know you. So to take away that fear and that stress and that overwhelm of like, what do I say? Now you have 5 perfect email templates. Again, use your personality, take out what you want, but use them as a general flow to get your mind going, to know basically what you should be saying. So that's my gift, to get everybody just excited about how easy it is to write emails and to use the templates that I provided.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think I might actually take you up on that offer myself. I'd love to see that. And you're also offering a bonus. So this is for the people who have paid to become a VIPer in our summit. And you've called it Plan Your Launch Kit. It's got a value of 97 buckaroos. So tell us what that one's about.
Okay, the Plan Your Launch Kit is something I actually sold for $97 over Black Friday, and people loved it. What's inside of it is the beginning of how to get started. So it tells you what a sales funnel is, because I may have said that term right now, and you may have said, I don't have one. It has two types of sales funnels and how to use them. So how to get people into your world, how to nurture them, and how to sell to them. You can plan that out with our template. Then I also have the most important thing that I learned when I was working with we made $1 million launch with this one 7-figure client of mine back in my early days. And the most important thing was having that content calendar. So the second thing this includes is showing you how to use a calendar, simple calendar, but a calendar in Google Docs to just go in and plan your launch ahead. You have no idea how easy it is if you say, in 6 weeks from now, I want to make $10,000, how you can work back to see what emails, posts. It can easily be mapped out, and it takes away all that stress of what to say. Now you know where you should be saying it. And then to even further reduce the overwhelm with the launch, I included 30 days of social media prompts. So you know 30 things that you can say to get people interested in you and what you have to offer. So that way you can make more sales by the time you get to the hard launch.
Wow, that's quite the kit. That was a lot more than I thought you'd say. That's amazing. That's awesome. Very nice, very generous of you. So that's it. Did you want to leave anybody with like a final thought or a quote or something, like a call to action for everybody? How did you want to leave this?
You know, the call to action I would say is make sure that you don't be shy about writing. Everybody writes something not perfect. Everybody writes something quote unquote bad. You have to go through the good and the bad and the trials just to get to finding what your real personality online is, what resonates with your people, and that takes time. So don't shy away from it because you're afraid your posts or your emails won't be perfect. Whenever something doesn't land, it's just data. So keep going. And if you're really not a writer, there's people like me out there that have the templates for you. We have the time to help you. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. So just write, just get out there and talk to your people.
That's awesome. And Charlese, if people wanted to reach out to you after, we're going to have the links on this page, but where do you like to hang out the most? Where on social media can they find you?
You know what? I think I love to hang out the most on Instagram because the DMs are the most fun. So just send me a direct message. Ask me anything. I promise I'll answer, and I won't try to sell you something. I just love to talk about writing. So hit me up.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Carrie.
Okay. Bye-bye.